has now positioned himself for a shot at the welterweight gold. But first, he will face the natural-born killer Carlos Condit. The former interim welterweight champ was within reach of the undisputed crown earlier this year. He enters this headliner determined to reestablish himself as the #1 contender. And that's not all. A former lightweight champion competes in a new country and a new weight class. Anthony Pettis set to make his featherweight debut against another highlight maker and finisher in Charles Oliveira. The Fox UFC Fight Night weigh-in show starts now. It's time! So tomorrow, of course, they fight. Tonight, they weigh in. Hello, folks. Thank you, as always, for being with us. John Anik inside the venue here in Vancouver, alongside a pair of UFC champions waiting for challengers. The light heavyweight king, of course, is Daniel Cormier, and the best in the world at bantamweight is Dominic Cruz. Karen Bryant will join us shortly as well. So, of course, both of your divisions now starting to come together a little bit, and tomorrow's main event should bring further clarity to the welterweight picture. Demian Maia, Carlos Condit, both entrenched in the top 5, and they will meet tomorrow night. Let's start with the Brazilian Demian Maia. You know, on the mat, really as talented and effective a fighter, I think, as most of us have ever seen.
Yes, he is, John. You know, man, he's one of the most credentialed guys to ever step foot in the UFC in terms of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. But I think what's even more impressive is that he's been able to actually make that jiu-jitsu work in mixed martial arts. How has he done that? It's because he has efficient striking that makes guys respect it enough that he's able to get close, secure takedowns, and once you're on the ground with Demian Maia, you're like a fly stuck in a spider trap because you're done. Demian Maia, effective striking leads to great jiu-jitsu.
But if I picked one guy to survive the spider trap, it would be Carlos Condit. He's got 15 knockouts, 13 submissions. That comes in total of 28 finishes in this octagon. And that is what he does. He hurts people, he finishes people. Not to mention, he uses all 8 pieces of his body, all 8 limbs, elbows, knees, feet, hands, and he mixes it up so effortlessly that after he rocks you on your feet, he follows you down to the mat and tries to put you out with some sort of submission. And if he can't get you with that submission, he's gonna mount you, take your back, and beat you down for the rest of the round from the position. This is a scary man, and it's gonna be a beautiful fight.
That is the headliner in the co-main event, guys. Former lightweight champion Anthony Pettis dropping to featherweight for the first time. No easy outs there either. He gets a tough test right out of the chute, Dom, and 6th-ranked Charles Oliveira.
Gosh, I mean, if we're talking about Charles Oliveira and Anthony Pettis, this is a dream match, in my opinion. These guys fight very similarly, but more than anything, I want to see how Pettis' weight translates down to 145 pounds. You know, 45 is very competitive. These guys have a mixture of speed and power, dropping from 55 and being a little higher than 35. It's a weird mixture, and I want to see how Anthony Pettis fits in this division.
Pettis a 2-1 favorite right now over 2 Bronx Charles Oliveira. Bit of breaking news coming in just over an hour ago. The UFC was notified by USADA of a potential anti-doping violation on prelim fighter Adam Hunter. He was scheduled to face Ryan James on the UFC Fight Pass prelim. So a provisional suspension has been enacted, and unfortunately that bout is now canceled. All right, we'll continue to highlight tomorrow's action until the top of the hour. First, though, we go down to the stage as we get ready for the public weigh-in. Here's your master of ceremonies, Mike Goldberg.
What's going on, Vancouver? Welcome to the weigh-ins, beautiful Ariane, Brittany, Chrissy, Vanessa, best matchmaker in the world, Joe Silva, Sean Shelby, Tom Wright runs things here in Canada, Brian Stan. Let's get things started. Welcome to the weigh-ins for tomorrow's Fox UFC Fight Night. We begin in the lightweight division. Jeremy JBC Kennedy fighting Alessandro Ricci.
Alessandro Ricci, he only learned about this fight 7 to 10 days ago. He said he's very confident because although he just learned about the fight, he is a professional. He's constantly training, and he was also getting ready for a fight in Japan at the end of September. He said that although both he and his opponent are Canadian, he does not know much about his opponent, and he looks forward to keeping the fans on the edge of their seat.
Official weight 156 for Alessandro Ricci. And his opponent, Jeremy JBC Kennedy.
With a record of 8-0, Jeremy Kennedy is making his UFC debut, along with several other Canadians on the card here. Now, he was initially scheduled to face Team Alpha Male's Josh Emmett, but instead will be facing off with fellow newcomer Ricci. If you're wondering what the JBC stands for, it's Junior Bacon Cheeseburger, his favorite extra value meal.
The extra weight for Jeremy Kennedy, 155.5 pounds.
And of course, as many of you know, as is the new protocol, all of these fighters weighed in earlier this morning.
Jeremy Kennedy, Alessandro Ricci tomorrow on UFCFightPass.com. Next up, the featured bout of our Fight Pass prelims. Chad, the Disciple Laprise, and Thibaut Gouti. First to the scale, Thibaut Gouti.
Thibaut Gouti. Not only is he a professional mixed martial artist, this guy is a talented squash player. He won one of the most prestigious squash tournaments in France as a youth. But he started training MMA as a hobby.
155.5 for Gouti.
Now he trains one of the best teams in the world down in Albuquerque at Jackson Wink MMA.
Chad, the Disciple Laprise.
Chad Laprise fights at a TriStar Gym and Adrenaline Training Center, born in Ontario, Canada, so he's very at home out here in Vancouver. He did miss weight, however, so we're gonna see how it looks. I mean, on fight night, he's still gonna go in there, I'm sure.
Official weight 159, so Chad Laprise missed weight this morning. The fight will still go on.
And it puts his opponent in a weird position, right, Daniel?
Well, Chad Laprise looked very upset that he didn't make weight, but he did. He was the first person to weigh in this morning, so didn't really try to lose the last bit of weight.
On TSN and CTV2, we begin at 155. Shane Shaolin Campbell fighting Felipe Silva.
Felipe Silva, you may not know a whole bunch about this man, but he is 7-0 for a reason. He's undefeated as a pro because he's also extremely good at kickboxing. 45-3 as a pro in kickboxing and undefeated as an amateur. This is not a man you want to go in there and just stand with like it's a normal day. You got to mix it up with him. He looks to be in great shape and he's ready to go.
154.5 for Silva.
These guys look so happy coming to weigh-ins nowadays, don't they?
It's so much different. Yeah, so much.
This is the 5th UFC appearance for Shane Campbell. Actually, Jeremy Kennedy went out and spent a week training with him to get ready for his own fight, but he's a BJJ purple belt, but primarily a Muay Thai fighter, excited to stand up and bang with Felipe Silva, even if Dominic doesn't think it's a great idea.
156 for Shane Campbell. Our first fight on Fox, TSN, and CTV2. Up next in the middleweight division, Garrett Soldier Boy McClellan and Alessio Di Chirico.
Alessio Di Chirico,
First to the
he
scale,
said of his opponent, he respects him, but he has an old school fighting style. And because of that old school fighting style, he will get run out of mixed martial arts along with the other fighters that have an old school fighting style.
185 for Menzo.
Those are some strong words. He better be prepared to back that up tomorrow night.
And his opponent, Garrett McClellan.
Found his love for MMA while looking for better conditioning in his rugby career, actually. He fights out of South Africa, and his first martial art was actually karate by the age of 9. Then he started his focus on rugby. After he started doing rugby for a while, he decided, you know, I think I want to fight in the UFC, and now he's on the scale.
184 for Soldier Boy.
His name's Soldier Boy. I wonder if he raps.
I just want to see the dance.
Garrett McClellan, Alessio Di Chirico at 185.
Pretty intense stare down. Neither one of those guys wants to back up.
Right. Don't mess with Joe Silva.
Next up, in the featherweight division, Enrique Barzola, fighting Barnett.
This is the second UFC appearance for Kyle Bochniak, who actually debuted in a short notice fight, Dominic, the same night you beat TJ Dillashaw in Boston. So he'll have a full camp for the very first time, fighting out of Peter Welch's famous gym in Boston.
The official weight, 145.5 for Bochniak. And his opponent, Enrique El Fuerte Barzola.
Let me give you some advice from the Ultimate Fighter Latin America Season 2 winner. He says that if you are on the fence about becoming an MMA fighter or a fan, just do what he did. Lock yourself in a room with a whole bunch of tapes of Cain Velasquez and Fedor Emelianenko. Not only will you become a fan, but you will become a diehard fan. That is
145.5 for El Fuerte.
That's a little bit of advice from Enrique Barzola,
who is about as mentally tough as they come, and to the surprise of some, he's a plus 155 underdog.
Look at Barzola with a little bit of smirk.
Barzola and Bochniak, part of our prelims tomorrow. Our featured prelim on Fox, TSN, CTV2, Sam Alvey and Kevin Casey. First up, King Kevin Casey.
We first saw Kevin Casey on Tough number 17 with Team Sonnen. Great wrestling, didn't have the best luck on that show, but now here he is, and it shows how tough he is to be back on this stage. Let's see how his weight looks.
185 for Casey.
I mean, we don't know if it translates to his boxing, but he is the son-in-law of the great Muhammad Ali. Started training in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu very young. Sam Alvey, a guy that I know very well. I mean, he smiles all the time. This guy is probably one of the happiest people in the UFC. Obviously, as you see here, smiling still. Always out there having a good time. Hits hard. Do not get it twisted.
186 for smiling Sam Alvey.
And this is a matchup that I'm curious.
Smiling Sam, he's always smiling. His wife's always smiling. I wonder if their children came out smiling. The smiling Alvey family.
He's like the anti-crew, smiling all the time.
Yes, the anti-Dominic.
Hey, come on. Making me uncomfortable.
Next we move to the main card. The rematch is lightweight between Joe Lausanne and Jim Miller.
Big Jim Miller's my kind of guy. He's a hard-working guy, blue-collar guy, returns quickly after UFC 200, and he said he gained a lot of confidence after sparring with Eddie Alvarez before UFC 200. Did well.
Official weight, 154.5 for Jim Miller.
He did well, and now he has his confidence back. He believes he can compete with the very best in the world again.
Joe Lausanne is coming off an 86-second first-round KO of Diego Sanchez at UFC 200. It is his 22nd UFC fight. It's a rematch with Jim Miller, obviously, from 2012. He said that, let me hear his weight.
156 for Joe Lausanne.
He said the first time we fought, I left more blood in the cage than I would have liked. This time, it will be his.
UFC 200, this guy just beasted Diego Sanchez. I've never seen Diego get beat up like Joe Lausanne did at UFC 200.
44 UFC fights coming in between Joe Lausanne and Jim Miller.
Up next in the women's strawweight division, Paige Van Zandt and Beck Rawlings.
Beck Rawlings trains out of Alliance Training Center, comes all the way down, does her camps in Chula Vista, California with us in California. I mean, that's a long trek for her. She leaves her family, her boyfriend, her kids at home, and she does it in sacrifice to come out and put a show on for everybody.
Official weight, 115.5 for Rawlings.
Comes in great shape, always has a tough time making weight, but she's ready.
We had Paige on UFC Tonight on Wednesday, and she may have given the single greatest answer in the history of sport.
Wow.
We said, Paige, what did you miss most about fighting while you were doing Dance with the Stars? She goes, I miss the violence. So the bubbly smile.
Don't let it fool you.
The happiness, don't let it fool you. This is a violent young lady that loves to fight. Paige Van Zandt back in the UFC again.
And Paige Van Zandt about a 2-to-1 favorite against the plus 175 underdog Beck Rawlings.
Up next, we move to our co-main event in the featherweight division. Anthony Showtime Pettis facing Charles "The Bronx" Oliveira.
Charles Oliveira trains at Bronx Gold Gym under Erickson in Macau. Known for his Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, but has been working on his Muay Thai, he says, focusing on filling those gaps in his mixed martial arts style.
Official weight 143 for Charles Oliveira.
Since fixing his Muay Thai, he said he's been focused on the knees, the elbows, and the kicks, and really upping his offense.
Making his featherweight debut, UFC lightweight champion in the world,
Anthony Showtime Pettis. You see him on the scale this morning. Made the weight. He told us last week on the show too, he goes, guys, I'm going all in. I'm pushing in all my chips, going down a weight class, trying to restart my career after a rough patch.
146 for Anthony Pettis.
We've long wanted to see him fight down at this weight division. We get an opportunity tomorrow to see him in a very, very tough fight.
Our colleague Campbell always says it's one thing to make the weight, another to fight at it. We'll see tomorrow night how it goes for Pettis in the featherweight debut.
Another good stare down. We're getting some good stare downs today.
Who will fight in our main event of the evening?
I say it a bunch, but I love this. I love to fight. You know, I always loved physical contact sports, and this is the ultimate contact sport. You know, this thing, it's a gamble. You know, you're rolling the dice every time you step in the cage.
Eu sei que se eu ganhar o cinturão eu vou continuar, mas eu sei que o que acontecer comigo depois, eu vou estar realizado profissionalmente. Ganhar o cinturão para mim é minha meta número 1 profissionalmente, é o que vai coroar minha carreira.
Carlos Condit versus Demian Maia is a fight between one of the most well-rounded guys in the game in Carlos Condit and a man who, in Demian Maia, who's really kind of a throwback. He is so skilled at one aspect of MMA, which is Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. That is what he uses in almost every single one of his victories. For Carlos Condit, you look at a guy that has so many different ways to win fights. The Dong Young Kim fight. When you look at his fight with Dan Hardy.
Absolutely right.
He's out. Carlos Condit can end fights with his striking.
Carlos Condit has done it. He has evened the score.
What I need to do is make Demian Maia fight. You know, he'll put you to sleep. You know, like literally and figuratively.
It's all over. It is all over.
Mas eu lutei com muitos atletas também, que nunca tinham nem perdido no UFC e consegui me impor. Então, é isso que eu espero. Eu espero chegar lá e me impor e vencer essa luta.
What a head kick.
If he's gonna beat me, if he's gonna get #1 contender spot, he's gonna have to fight for it.
Mas o meu objetivo, sem dúvida, é vencer o Condit e ganhar o passaporte para disputar o cinturão e, se Deus quiser, ser campeão.
I know I can beat Demian Maia, and he knows that I can beat him.
All right, here we go. First up, the UFC intro.
As a fight fan, you have got to be smiling from ear to ear seeing this, because hearing Carlos Condit may walk away was very sad for anyone that loves violence. Carlos Condit is a violent individual. He hits you with elbows, knees, kicks. He's extremely well-rounded, a fighter's fighter, the type of guy that you always want to tune in to watch.
Official weight for Carlos Condit, 170.5 pounds. And his opponent, Demian Maia.
Demian Maia is well known for his Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu background. I mean, accolades that go on for days when it comes to submission victories. Fought legend Anderson Silva to 5 rounds, so he has the experience in the octagon against some of the best. His hero is Rickson Gracie. What a surprise. He's looking for the choke at every second, and that's what Carlos Condit knows. He knows he's expecting a grappling match out of Demian Maia. The question is, can Carlos Condit stop Demian Maia from taking him down? So far, not very many people have.
Official weight, 171 for Demian Maia.
This is going to be a phenomenal fight.
I think it's a sleeper. I mean, if Maia can't get him down, where does this fight go?
It's going to be tough. But as you said, he went 5 rounds with Anderson Silva. Where there weren't many takedowns.
And Carlos Condit. I'm going to talk to Carlos Condit first, then Demian Maia. Carlos, you have been right there so many times, and you know with a win tomorrow night, you can be right there again. Give me your thoughts.
I'm excited. Put together a great camp. Got a great opponent that I'm competing against, but you know, either way, I feel like I'm gonna come out on top.
You had crazy fights before in Vancouver. Good luck tomorrow.
Thanks, sir.
All right, Demian Maia. Demian, 5 straight wins. Your jiu-jitsu seems to be at a level that it was early on in your career. You're really stopping people again. What's different?
The training camp, you know, my team is great, and they change everything since I dropped to welterweight, and I'm doing well in this weight, and I hope to win tomorrow and get this chance for the title shot.
Demian Maia, ladies and gentlemen. That's our main event. Don't forget Fox, TSN, and CTV2. That's way so.
All right, that's a wrap from the stage and the scale. We've got plenty more content coming your way, DC. The fighters, of course, weighed in officially several hours ago this morning. Your thoughts, though, on what just transpired down there on stage?
They look good. All the guys look good. They all look relaxed. They all look ready to compete. Anthony Pettis, he looks good starting to fill back up at the weight. Charles Oliveira, a guy that has struggled to make weight at times, made weight this morning. He looked good. But Demian Maia and Carlos Condit both seem ready, living in the moment, with a chance to earn another shot at the welterweight championship. This is going to be a phenomenal fight.
Yeah, the intensity in Oliveira's eyes was different. He doesn't always look that way, you know, so I think he put in a good camp, and he looked huge compared to Anthony Pettis, who's dropping from 55, which is incredible. I mean, and Pettis actually looked pretty good, though. He didn't look too sucked up. He looked ready to go. But the fight I'm really thinking is going to be the sleeper is Lausanne versus Miller, too. I mean, that fight, can't miss that one.
Well, one thing, too, quickly on Oliveira, if I could, you know, he's a former lightweight as well. He weighed 143 this morning, so had 3 more pounds. Could have weighed 46. Charles Oliveira 143 and looked damn good a couple of moments ago. Well, the Fox family of networks happy to be your home for the UFC action tomorrow. FS2 has the pre-fight coverage 5 p.m. Eastern, then switch it over to your local Fox affiliate at 6 p.m. for the prelims, followed, of course, by the main card at 8. And then, of course, if you are so inclined, head back to FS1 for post-fight coverage immediately following the main event. But we are far from finished here on weigh-in day. Demian Maia has lost only 1 round spanning the last 2 years, and his path of destruction continue in Vancouver. We discuss next. This is FS1.
There was a lot of people that thought that we had seen the last of the pit bull, the guy who terrified the heavyweight division. The reality of the heavyweight division is these guys are so big, they hit so hard, that any one legitimate shot that lands could potentially end a fight at any moment.
Arlovski pushing forward. Pitbull looking to finish him. Andre, the Pitbull, Arlovski. Josh Barnett.
Josh Barnett is one of the craftiest, most intelligent, and most diverse fighters in the UFC today.